Welcome to Two Gents, where two seasoned gents take on the hard truths of life, success, and responsibility. In a world where the rules don't bend for us, these gents believe in doing the work, owning the struggle, and inspiring others to take action. So, pull up a chair.
Hey, good afternoon. Before I start today, let me just say good afternoon, good afternoon. Wherever you're listening to me from, I'm adjusting my seat again because, I have this vertical presentation. And I have this other one that's out there on Instagram. It's vertical. On my other part, it's non-vertical. So before I start, let me tell you, we got into this discussion last night. It wasn't a discussion. It wasn't a heated discussion, but we both had some pretty strong points, and I want to talk about Pastor Riggins and myself. But here's what I'll say, and I need to clarify, and I need to make sure, excuse me, I don't have no commercials I can play. I don't have anything. Only thing I can say is excuse me. I don't know where that come from. But anyway, it didn't happen before I got on the air. It happened after I got on the air. But anyway, I need to go here because I need, can't clear it. Before I go anywhere, I need to clear this up. That discussion that we had last night was out of passion. Sometimes you discuss things out of passion. Sometimes you put your passion into what you believe in, and I hope that anybody that listens to this show possesses some of that passion as they go about their day. In any environment, work environment, church environment, anywhere that you go, your family environment, I hope that you take in some passion with you. Because if you don't take in that passion, you sometimes you're just wasting your time. Sometimes you're just taking up occupying space, and that's not what I want to do. That's not my objective. So I just want to put that out there, but I want to say something else before I get into the meat of this podcast, because it's important that you understand. I need to put something in perspective. I need to explain why I care so much, even though this is over. I really do. Because what happens sends a message to our little girls coming up. You need to understand that, especially our little Black girls. A message that says you can only rise so high before someone tries to put you back in your place. And I can't let that stand. I just can't. It's not within me, because I have daughters. She presented a well-poised, disciplined, with a backbone that never needed profanity to make a point. One of her most famous moments started with someone coming at her first. She didn't escalate it. Instinct kicked in, and she responded with swift, sharp words that put that person right back in their place. And yet, when she was attacked by nobody came to her defense. But the moment she responded, everybody moved to erase her from the public record. That double standard is why I'm talking today, because people forget the sacrifice behind her story. A mother standing in long hours in the post office. A father serving the community as a pastor, giving. A daughter who fought her way from not where she's not supposed to be to one of the most capable voices in America. And now we're supposed to take that and just swallow our pride. It didn't happen. I'm not going to look the other way. Not me. I'm not going to do that. That's why I'm doing this show today, to let you know that you're upset for a reason. That's the reason why I want to put it out there, and I want to be clear in my thoughts. I'm going to refer back to some notes that I've made. I'm going to look at the screen, and my eyes going to go back and forth, because I don't do this and come back and clean it up. I do this as it is. You don't see everybody else. And I ain't gonna even talk about everybody else. When me and Glass get on here and Pastor Riggins, we do this live. We've been doing this live ever since we did Blog Talk Radio under the Blog Talk USA title. We didn't go back and erase, correct, and all the rest of that. That means that you done said something that you have to go back and make yourself look good. And that's the difference. And I'll say that's the difference between, and somebody pointed this out, that's the difference between radio and podcast. In podcasts, you get an opportunity to clean it up. In radio, you don't get that chance. In live TV, you don't get that chance. The only thing that's in radio that probably will save you is they have a delay when they bring somebody into the show that they want to kind of regulate what you're saying. So I want to be sure that we get out here, that we on the same sheet of music, that we understand each other. And I want to, if you permit me to take this time to meticulously, and I use that word, and I hope I say it right, break this down where the average person could understand it. Not somebody that's out there. I was reaching and I closed out the wrong thing. So I'm gonna sit up and I'm gonna do this. I gotta put it back in perspective because I closed it out. And it helps me stay on track. See, on this particular show, I don't even have to hear my voice. On this particular show, I don't even have to hear the background. On this particular show, I can just be myself. Be myself and make my points. So I done got you here. And you know the title. Before New York, I could have said the making of a king, but I want to be fair. And the remaking of James Talarico. And I know it's hard for most of y'all to understand, but there's some stuff that happened that most of y'all are not aware of. And how I'm gonna get into it because I don't want to put words in nobody's mouth, and I want you to understand exactly the reason why I'm doing this show. He was a young Texan state representative, small district, mind you, limited influence. Now I say limited influence, I mean very limited influence. No statewide machine in place, no big PACs or nothing like that. Then one day, he made a trip. And in Texas, I think I don't want to misreference it, but it was a salsa, and in the salsa commercial it says something like New York City, and salsa is made in Texas. It's a dip that we dip on our chips, and it actually started in Mexico, but I don't want to drift into that. I just want to get to where I'm going. Then one trip to New York. I'm gonna say it, one trip to New York, and everything changed for him. Everything changed. We know James is a statewide representative at that point. We don't know James. I'm gonna do something because I can see where I'm gonna lose you at, and I'm not gonna try to lose you. And see the difference between everybody else and myself, because I need you to understand. I need you to understand is this. It's this one thing. See, people go out there and give themselves credit, too much credit. And I'm gonna tell you what I mean by that. They give themselves too much credit. What they do is tell you, I'm the voice of reasoning. I got all the information that you need, and I'm the one that you should be paying attention to. They even disguise it. As knowledge based. They start throwing out numbers, and you think that, man, I wish I could just be that person. But see, it's not about them throwing out numbers. What it's about is that they have a teleprompter or something right in front of them that's putting those facts right in front of them, and they won't tell you that. They won't tell you that, but that's what they do. So let me get into this. Just James, before New York, James Talarico was a teacher turned representative in the state from a suburban district in Williamson County. Williamson County. Go out there and Google the numbers for yourself in Williamson County and tell me as I get into this, how did he come out of there? With a limited statewide name recognition, no major donor, key, no national media present, no established political machine. He was just respected local, but not positioned for a statewide power. This happened before, because I need to establish who he was. And sometimes that's hard to establish, because people don't want to hear that part of it. They don't want to hear that part, because they want you to jump into something and they want you to make something out of it. But that's not it. That's not it at all. You need to know where a person came from, what type of condition that they were in. It's something. I'm gonna transfer my cameras because I want you to see something that's gonna kind of put this in perspective. And I had it up last night, but I didn't show people. You know, they had a song out at one time that said the words were, "If a peanut farmer can do it, so can I." That might have been true at that particular point in time, but today it's not. Today it's not, because they will do everything they can to include your own party to destroy you. Now, some of this stuff I'm going to say, it's going to make you think. Some of the stuff I'm going to say may make you mad. But you need to know, I got a problem and I don't know how to solve it. So give me a second. I'm going to have to solve it another way. Oh, it's just on Instagram. Something froze up on Instagram. It's not me. I'm not surprised. And I'll tell you the reason why I'm not surprised is because when I went out there, maybe I didn't do something. Let me check. Oh, okay. It came back. It just kicked back in. If you've been frozen out there on Instagram, it wasn't my fault. It was something that was going on that I had no control over. But here's something that I want to say. She had a fight that she probably couldn't control. She had no control over. You saw me reference something that came into perspective when I mentioned this guy's name, and this is where I'm going, because you need to understand how this works and how she was set up to fail before she got started. The moment, I want to call it the Obama moment. Let me just call it that. I showed you commentary from Obama and Marc Marion having an interview, not just as not as an endorsement. And I want to put this context, but he was talking about how he did things and how he was going to go about doing his business, how national voices can elevate a local figure. I'm not going to share the video. I just need you to understand. And if you want me to share the video at a later date, I will. I've shared it too many times already. How national voices can elevate a local figure. How single moments of visibility can shift a career. That was the points that he was making. How Talarico's style leadership will resonated beyond the state of Texas. This sets up transformation. He said it. I didn't say it. I'm not putting words in his mouth. You can go out there and Google the video, because you'll never see a point in time where Obama and Talarico was in the same place before this election cycle came into place. And that's key. And that's key. Because somehow somebody had to put that vehicle, that machinery in place for him to accelerate past a national person that was out there. Am I saying he couldn't have did it? But I can tell you this. Now I want to be straight when I say this. He couldn't have did it on his own. It's no way in this God's green earth that he made the accomplishments that he did on his own. Somebody had to be behind him. Somebody had to initiate what's going on. Somebody that didn't like the person that was representative there, somebody that didn't like what they stood for or who they were or how they expressed their emotions or how they came back across. Somebody had to do something to change that. And I'm not saying that was the moment, but think about it. That was one of those moments where she never got mentioned. How national voices can elevate a local figure. Wasn't she a local figure? Wasn't she a national figure that was doing some things at that time? You don't think she should have even got a mention? You don't think that it should have came up that not only was this particular person running against a person of her caliber that had national recognition? You don't think he should have that the point should have been made or pointed out that even though he's new, I like what he stands for, but he has an opponent out there. And we talk about, and here's where I'm gonna go. We talk about people getting into, not getting into the primaries. We talk about not messing with the primaries, letting it play out like it normally would. Under normal circumstances, it would have played out. But too many people put their hands in there. And you heard me talk about that young lady. Now I say young because I'm older than her. The sacrifices that her parents and everybody else did, the sacrifices that we do as parents for our daughters and our kids, only to have the world come back and tell them that they can achieve so much. But we can reel you in when we want to, when it benefits us, when we think that we're getting ahead, when we think that we're so far ahead of you. When you stick, I'm gonna cover this tomorrow. I think it's tomorrow, but I'm gonna cover this tomorrow because I need you to understand today. When we have people that are in positions that's not benefiting us, whether they're in office or out of office, whether they don't want to let the American people make a decision, they want to make the decision for you in the best interest of their politics, there's something wrong in America. And I ain't gonna just let the Democrats hold that. I'm gonna let the Republicans do that too, because that's why they're in the position they are right now with this maniac that's in office, because you allow yourself to be manipulated early on. So now you have to depend on who this person has become, who this person has got us to this point where we are right now, where nobody respects who we are in this country, because we have people that's been voted in place that sit on their hands. They're making telephone calls all day. They're trying to get reelected. They're having people walk in and out of the office telling them how to vote. They have all this going on around them. They have leadership, either in the Democratic Party or the Republican Party, that you see them, that their leaders doing the same thing. You know, I gotta tie it back because you making a point right now. You got the part of the country shut down, but when you had the opportunity to keep the country shut down for a longer period of time, you wasn't able to control your members within the party. We just got to call it like it is. Because right now, it's very few people that's suffering out there. And those particular people are causing the country to hold up. Funny. We end up right back where we were. We end up right back to the place where we started. Where if we was just held our ground and been good enough to understand that let me break this down to you. I like to get it to the nitty and the gritty. Now you done heard me talk about James Talarico to this point. I told you who he was. I explained to you why it's important that we understand. Now, how did I tie Obama into this? Because in New York, it's where a lot of decisions are made. That's where groups of people in the Democratic Party meet, make decisions on the future. Sometimes it may be the DNC. I ain't saying I can't prove that Obama was in the room when any of this decision. I can't prove that Obama ever talked to James Talarico, but I can prove that his name came up in a speech in one of those controlled. Let me just reiterate this: in a controlled environment where he sits down and has questions answered, probably already has his answers before he even gets there. But those videos keep showing up on the internet. They keep showing up on the internet, but yet you're out of office. So when you was running for office and you were going against those same people that didn't want you to get there, when your name wasn't recognized as a normal everyday person's name, it's almost like you forget. See, we forget where we came from and how we got there when we get there. We forget that we weren't always Harvard material. We forget that America knew us as that person that represented a place and occupied a space within Chicago, where you came from. We forget, and I'm not holding them accountable for everything that's going on, but we need to stop these politics. We need to stop that type of politics. We need to elect officials that have the best interests of the people that voted them into office. And until we change that, the narrative's gonna always be the same. The narrative's gonna always be the same. Our kids, don't matter what color they are, red, black, white, yellow, pink, purple, or blue, that they can't achieve if certain people don't let them achieve. Not based on their merits and where they started at, where they came from, not based on their ability to go out and communicate well, not based on their I want to say this because not based on them just being people who want to represent the people from the district that voted them in. Y'all get them there and y'all want to play so many games that they lose interest, or either if they don't follow your guidelines, they don't get on that line and walk the line, so to speak. You want to get them out of there. At some point, we got to stop that. It ain't the person who you want to pick. It ain't the person who you want to pick, and I'm not calling him particularly out, but I'm calling the politics that I see in my face, the politics that you can go out there and research for yourself, the politics of people that's ran this country for years and years, and we wonder how come our vote don't count. Our vote. We're probably one of the strongest people out there voting. They know that they can get our vote regardless, because we need to have a voice. But if we voting against our best interests, we need to stop it. We need to stop it. And I know that most people say, "Oh, you got to look at the bigger picture." I know who said it, and I'm not calling his name. Yeah, the bigger picture at what cost? If one Senate race, one Senate person is going to cost, we back and redraw, because somebody somewhere somehow over the past year seen the mistakes after mistakes after mistakes that has been happening across this country, and people are going out voting to represent people who feel like them, like they've been disservice by the person that's in office. We have to trust in the voting process, but we cannot manipulate the voting process as it has been manipulated in this case. This is a manipulation. And unless you understand how it happens, we're never going to go as far as we want to go. Never going to go as far as we want to go. In this case, the political slate collapsed. The internal dynamics, it wasn't none. Everybody had a preordained mission. And it wasn't to let this young girl excel at what she was good at. The unexpected openings. I'm just laying it out. You can take it any kind of way you want to. The vacuum of leadership. You want to take it and pull it in like a vacuum. That's not what America was built on. That's not what got you into office. That's not what put people in place that made a difference in this country early on. Because if you remember correctly, the British had something they want to accomplish. Why should we put ourselves in a position where we're going back and repeat history? Even though we elected a bad person into the office this time, everybody made a mistake. But we're at a point where we're trying to elect leaders that reflect the people, not leaders that reflect past leadership or people that should have been out of office, not the leaders that reflect the lobbyists, not leaders that reflect the Washington Potomac two-step, where you got just as many congressmen and senators as people walking around with badges in offices that's trying to sway their vote. We need to stop that. And we wonder where the money comes from. Where the money comes on the table and under the table. It just depends on which side of the table they want you on. Stop putting us in a place like that. Allow people like Jasmine Crockett, the person I'm talking about, the person I'm upset about, to open their mouth to say something. So what you're basically telling me, and America need to understand this, what they're basically telling you is that maybe they can get James Talarico to lockstep and just march that narrow line, but they couldn't get her to do it. I'm laying it out there. I don't care who likes it, who don't like it. How you take it is up to you. But I'm going to put it out there and let you figure it out for yourself, because you can do the research. You can do this research. Everything I'm about to say is leading up to this point. This is the pressure point where there was a trip made. Now, it's another video out there. It's another video out there. It's a trip made to New York City. Now, I already told you that that's where the Democrats host majority of what they got going on. That was a pivotal point in anything that James Talarico had to do, because when he left here, he was slated to be a governor. Yeah, they was playing chess because they had some other candidates that were supposed to be running for some other office, and they thought they was going to be able to slip one of the three in, while everybody else was focused somewhere. That's some planning. They did all this off the books, but they playing. Top names in politics. One of them was Beto O'Rourke. He didn't make it, but yet I don't see him playing the game against his own party. See, when they plan in unison. They plan to excel. One of them was going to get in office at the expense of the other person, but not to basically just destroy one person because you don't like what they present. I didn't hear that. And this was somebody that was in the room that put that out. So if that's the case, what are we doing? We're taking the confidence from a person. We're taking the ambition away. We're taking a mission away. We're taking the narrative away. We're taking new supporters away. A statewide vision or a national vision is ruined because of a few. It's ruined because of a few. And you need to know that, because if you don't know that, none of what I'm saying is making any sense. None of what I'm doing right now is making any sense to anybody. That's why I'm making sure that I cover all my points. See, the person that we call James Talarico, he wasn't supposed to be. When he was a statewide representative, he wasn't even supposed to be right now. You heard me say about the meeting, and I'm staying on point. The transformation that he made, the recalibration, the political awakening, a shift from local to statewide relevance, a shift from statewide relevance to national, making decisions based on what somebody else is putting in their head or telling you or asking you or requesting and telling you off record. Instead of you running for the governor, I need you to run this race. I need you to run this race. I don't care who's in it. I don't care if they're more qualified than you. We're going to put this machinery behind you that you're going to come up to that person's level, even if he questioned it at that time. He should have knew something was wrong based on what was happening. And I'm going to go here because I had to go here with Pastor Riggins last night. And he tried to, and I'm not calling him out, but we both have different decisions. We have both have two different brains that function different. Sometimes the bigger picture is not what should happen, but based on evidence, you should make your decision based on evidence. It's not a bigger picture out there if it's not the truth, if it's not based on fact when you go behind those polling booths. And that's the part that I need you to understand. You can't give up who you are because it fits the occasion right now. You have to stand on your principle. And I'm not telling anybody that I'm talking to right now to step outside of who they are and feel like me. I want you to get there on your own merit if you get there, because you're going to have to deal with the consequences of your action after it's over with. I'm prepared to deal with mine. But I'm letting you know the reason why I'm here. I'm letting you know. And I need you to understand. They took and transformed this guy into who he is. They took and they recalibrated his thinking process of who he was. They took and they put him in a direction, basically told him what they wanted him to do, and he was willing to follow. Has he made some blunders along the way? Yeah, he did. He took one of those PACs that he took money from was a person that's leaked in the Epstein files. Yeah, the one thing I can say about anybody that's around Trump, they're good at denying and they're good at trying to explain the reason why. The reason why I show up in there is because I like the guy. He was a real good friend of mine. He was this and he was that. He had the influence around America, and I was using him to make my point. It sounds like a story that everybody's saying till they get caught. But he didn't know that. And here's the deniability. If you've been following me through all of this, I didn't put politics under the table. I put politics on top of the table, and putting it under the table when they in the primaries, he didn't know that these particular. Well, he may have. Let me just say that, but I can't say he does because that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that instrument of that particular PAC was used to help him get elected. Now they can't give him money directly. but it can show up in other ways. And I'm gonna call his name. I know I'm wearing you out, Charlie. But the only reason why I'm wearing you out is because you did something that I've never seen done in politics. You bragged on the ability to beat another candidate the next morning. You couldn't even wait till you got where you was going before you got on the air and said what you did, wearing a Talarico shirt. You made sure that everybody knew that you was for James Talarico. You mentioned Jasmine Crockett, which I can say her own party member or party people didn't mention Jasmine Crockett. So I give you credit for that. You controlled the Hispanic vote. You made it count where it needed to count. But here's something that I pointed out last night. Now I'm going to say it again. I need anybody that's willing to listen to understand. When they came up with this ICE thing and it was going across America and they was picking up people all across America, and they got to calling out people that wasn't on their side, that wasn't trying to help them, and everything that was going on, they called out black people. They said, y'all not stepping up, y'all not doing this, y'all not doing that. But see, when one of ours, like Jasmine, needed your support, you know what you did? You jumped ship. Now you're going to try to play the yo-yo game and reel us all back in. Well, I'm telling you, I'm off that. What you did to this young lady is something that I can't forgive. Not Chuck Roach, because he was doing this job, but what they did to this young lady and destroyed her, I cannot let it happen again. And what they did to build this young man up from nowhere to something, I cannot let it happen again without people knowing what's going on, because you have done this too many times in the past. And if you don't believe me, I'm gonna drive it home. At this point, I'm gonna drive it home because it's gonna happen another time in America. I remember listening to the Tom Joyner show. I remember listening to other shows that was out there. I remember listening to prominent shows. And the question on everybody's mind before it got to that point was, who in the world was Barack Obama? And I'm using him as an example. I'm not ruining his reputation. I'm just pointing you to a time where that has happened before. And somehow everybody got on board. See, I don't know how to do it, but I'm going to have to do it my way. See, we're used to feel-good speeches. We're used to people telling us how we should feel, how we should vote, how we should do this. We stop relying on our own instincts. And Pastor, I agree with you. This is a point in time where we it's bigger than where we at. But also what's bigger than where we at is the way in which our vote is treated from our own party. And I say my own party because I voted Democrat, and I'm going to continue to vote Democrat, and I'm willing to vote Republican if there's a Republican out there that's making more sense than a Democrat. I'm just saying, and I'm going to do this because it's important to this moment where I'm at right now. I said it on the other show, but I'm going to say it again. I saw a lady, Nassau Road, I think it was right before Nassau Road 1. I'm trying to think of the exit before then, but it's not irrelevant. What happened is irrelevant. It is relevant, not irrelevant, relevant to what I'm about to say. It was a white, older lady with a sign. She wasn't collecting money. She took her time to go out there and hold it up and say, I hate Trump. Any other time in history that would have happened, local media would have been all on top of that. Haven't seen no local media run down there to cover this lady holding up this sign in the middle of the intersection. That's the reason why this is relevant. picking candidates. They blame Obama for Trump being there. No, it's not Obama's fault. See, y'all structure stuff in a way where it's got us to this point. It's the overall structure in which you're voting. When you stop giving people a voice, you stop giving people representation. You started handpicking candidates that would follow you guys at the top, or follow X people that thought they knew the pattern, that would follow that plan to the T. Then you would take that same plan and sell it to somebody out there that wanted to manipulate the vote. Sell it to somebody out there that came to you with a plan. Hey, I got this idea, I got this project coming, I got that coming. Stop benefiting the congressmen or the senators, because here's the thing. There's only one person that's representing everybody that they came from. Stop making them compromise who they were. And if this particular person that you picked is able to be compromised, I don't want him. And everything that's pointing up to him being in office is saying that he's going to be compromised just like you. So I can't say without a doubt that I can tell you this, I'm not going in there and vote for him. That's just going to be one thing that I'm going to have to give into. Whatever happens after then, I'm gonna own it. If he wins, I'm gonna own it. If he loses, I know that he didn't lose because of my one vote. It's just politics, as you say. I can hear y'all. It's just politics, but that's my politics, and I'm able to control them by my vote. That's my voice. Need you to remember that your vote is your voice. Regardless of what people are telling you. I don't want this, I don't want that. I don't want it either. But if you're going to walk over my vote and my voice and my opportunity to express myself, my opportunity to make a difference within my community, I don't want that either. Most people don't want that. That's what you need to understand. And you heard me mention this trip, but you know, when a person leaves and they thinking that they're going to on this trip, and they get there and they come back a new person, there's something wrong within the system. Because how do you go from planning to be governor and you allow yourself to be manipulated down to being a senator? Your plan wasn't good enough when you left Texas to go up and have that short meeting with somebody that you, all of a sudden you just, oh man, when I get back, he just told his people, oh man, all that stuff is out the window. Here's the new direction in which we're going. I'm going to be a senator. See, that's the dynamics of what I'm talking about. Manipulation, not sticking to the path in which you discuss with people that were in key places in Texas, but they sold you a bill of goods. And I'm going to use the phrase because it's appropriate now. In New York City. But you're from Texas. You didn't care at what expense they sold you out for. You didn't care about none of that. You just knew what you was going to do, and you knew that the power that they was going to put behind you was coming. You may not know who, you may not be tied to whatever they did, the ads that they was able to run from the PACs and super PACs, you may not know that, and you may have had, I'm going to say may have had a conversation with some ex-political figures that was there. Can't prove it. But I can say you came out there running pretty confident when you came back and told everybody that you've been negotiating with the past year, however long y'all had been negotiating, you told them, no, that's not going to happen. This is what I'm going to do. I'm putting this out here so you can make your own decision, not my decision. Your decision based on facts based on truth. And if you don't believe me, I don't have no problem bringing up what's out there. And this actually, if you Google the person, if you see the person out there talking, they say it clearly. They say this is what happened after all our planning that we had put down, and I was in the room. I had a seat at the table when all of this was going on, and then all of a sudden, everything that we had was ripped up after one visit. That should tell you something about the person. They're willing to move in any direction that they feel benefits them. They're willing to change in any direction that they benefits them. Then they come back, and even during the election cycle, they tell Colin Allred what he told them. Then it wasn't good enough for them, but then he realized he made a mistake. Mediocre was the word. Thank you. Mediocre was the word from the comments last night. They told him he was mediocre. Colin Allred. He had already went up against another Senate person. He ran a good race, a fair race. He was a good individual. As a matter of fact, he should have had more credibility than you did on a national level anyway. But you tell him he was mediocre. Then you come back and you try to clean it up. You owned it. You owned that. I'm going to give you that. You owned that. But did you own the part where that guy gave your campaign $500,000? And did you own it then? Or are you picking and choosing what you own? Because that $500,000 was probably more than you had to run for any campaign that you was involved in. See, you have to build history before you can go get facts. And before I close this out, I want to go back here and remind you. I need to go back here and remind you who he was. A young Texas state representative. Small district, limited influence, no statewide machine running for him. He had to do it on his own merit. Yes, he did get voted in. Narrowly got voted in against the person he was running for. Just putting it out there. Be your own judge. Go back and Google it for yourself. I did. No national footprint anywhere. Not anywhere. Probably the biggest thing he had accomplished in his life was Harvard. Tie that back in. Tie that back in for yourself. Harvard. Not saying there's anything wrong with that, but it points back to somebody putting their hands in some place that they should have never been. And if he ran on his own merits, I guarantee you the outcome would have been different, because he didn't have the pull to do any of that other stuff unless it was put in place ahead of time. And even, I'm going to sit up for this. And even if it was put in place before she decided to get in the race, you still had a candidate that was coming into the race that commanded more than he did even at that time. Because you basically, what happened was that you took that opportunity to build him up to her level where she was already at. And it was brought up last night. Say she couldn't have won against Paxton and Cronin. I think his name is Cronin. Hell, she carried more of the vote than he did. Than both of them. So tell me why she couldn't have won. You never gave her a chance. You never gave her a fair chance. You never stepped out of your cycle in which you was in, where you shouldn't have been in the primaries, as you so clearly dictate in your rules of operation, that you do not get involved at primary level candidates. Anytime you speak of a primary level candidate on the level in which you represent, you are getting involved. You are tilting the scale. You are putting your thumb on the scale or your finger on the scale and waiting in his favor. And you know what you're doing. Anytime an organization gets behind him, like they did, that's a weight. That's more weight on that side of the scale. See, because if it would have been a race where he didn't have those things, I would say, you know what? He won this hands down, fair and square. Shouldn't be nothing that nobody could say. But you, and when I say you, I mean the Republican Party, I mean the Democrats, the DNC, everybody else out there put their hands on the schedule, on the scale to weight it in their favor. And last time I seen, they had a scale with that lady on it. It's two sides, left or right, and one is the right and one is the wrong. I don't know the name of the scale, but I want to use it as an example. Anytime it's that much weight on one side, the person who won should have won. But remember, it was a primary. Before I close out today, I just want to make sure that you understand that I'm doing this because I can see a little girl growing up to say, I want to be a lawyer. I can see a little girl saying that, I went through school already. I already got a degree. But you know what? I want to go back and become a lawyer on top of what I already did. I've been fighting this struggle all my life. People telling me what I can't be. People telling me what I can't do. But I excel past where I was. I use my merit to get where I am. Didn't have no PAC money. I'm not saying that she didn't have no PAC money when she was running. I'm not saying that they didn't run the advertisement and all that. Let's get it clear. I can't verify that, but I can verify if you do the research that it happened on the other side, on the other guy's side. And people willing to stand up and say, oh, it happened 4 months. 4 months. Obama's endorsement of him was way out. But that is still tilting the scale in his favor. When you found out that was the case, how come you didn't come back and clean it up? It's two people down in Texas that's running for the same seat. I'm not supporting either one of them, but I am saying it's a good race going down in Texas, and I'm gonna let it work its way out. Then I might come back and get involved in it. No, you tilted the scale, and then you want to come back and you don't want to clean it up. And I'm gonna call you out on this one too, because here's what I'm gonna say. It wasn't me. It wasn't me, and that's the reason why I say tomorrow's show is gonna be a little bit different. Tomorrow's show gonna be a little bit different. It's gonna tie back some things, and it ain't gonna be about none of the people that's in this race. But there's something wrong with our country unless we clean it up. Unless we clean it up, we're gonna always come back to this point in history. We're gonna always be here, disappointed, upset, because things didn't go our way. So tomorrow, I'm just leading into my show tomorrow. That's what it's going to be about. It ain't going to be about Jasmine Crockett. It ain't going to be about James Talarico, because that's sort of the way that the country want to go. Let the cards fall where they may. If he loses his race, I'm going to tell you that you failed on the wrong side. You failed on the wrong side, because if a convicted criminal in the state of Texas and with all these allegations, he's almost like Trump, Paxton. And Cornyn is basically walking a thin line in the Republican side. And he's an incumbent. And both of the Democratic nominees drew more people than him and Paxton. But Cornyn, that's a compromise. Because I'm not voting for Talarico. And I'm gonna let you make your statement clearly. If you're not voting for him, that's a vote for the other side. You didn't say, Cornyn go. Trust me, Talarico coming back to try to get the black vote. He coming back to get this girl to come in and help him get the black vote to carry him over the hump. He coming back. It just happened that I'm not gonna be one of them. And if you're willing to do that, more power to you. You see a bigger picture. I don't. I really don't. I don't see no off ramp to say, hey, I'd rather do this than that. What else are you willing to do to compromise who you are? They didn't show you that mean you no good. And I mean no good. They basically told you that your daughters and your sons, the only thing that they're good for, and I'm going to put it in perspective so you can understand. Doesn't matter how educated you put them. Doesn't matter how high you ask, you get, they can achieve. Doesn't matter how much education you put into that person, how much care and sacrifice that you put into that person. If I want to put him in his place or her place, I can do it. That's what they're telling you. If you don't believe me, listen to what I've been saying. You don't leave Texas as a governor and then go to New York State and then come back as a Senate representative. That don't calculate. See, because regardless of what was going on before you left, it was a calculated move to at least get one person in a position at the cost, maybe at the other two. And you were part of the solution. But you left and made that trip, and then you come back, and all of a sudden oh no, that don't work for me. I'm going with sure thing. Well, that's the way you're gonna vote in Congress or the Senate. The sure thing. You're no different than anybody else that's trying to make me compromise who I am in the position that I hold, because I'm holding my own self accountable for where my voice goes, where my action and voice is voting. Let me go ahead and get out of here. I haven't been paying attention to the time, but I hope that I made my point. Let me see how much time I got. I hope that I made my point. And before I get out of here, I just want to say this and line it up. Before New York, he was a local representative here in the state of Texas. None of y'all knew who he was. He wasn't even making appearances on the local TV stations. After New York, he became a statewide contender. He became a national candidate. He got on national media shows. He was up and down everywhere that they could put him into. Somebody failed to ask a simple question. How did you go from where you was to where you are right now? He didn't do it on his own. It wasn't like he had the same power that she had. They put him on a different level. They had to, and I'm gonna say this, and I need you to understand, they had to build him up to her level for him to compete. Machine. Not only Republicans, Democrats at the highest level. They thought he was a better candidate. But instead of you taking your hand off the scale, you put your hand on the scale. You called in people. Now, I can't prove it, but if they showed up, Chuck Roach, they didn't show up because they knew who James Talarico was before that election. Just putting it out there. Food for thought. This is not another story about one man. It's a story about how power moves. It's a story about how power moves and how moments shape leaders, how opportunity reshapes ambition, how a single trip can change the trajectory of a person's political life. And it shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be like that. One trip should never change the person political trajectory, because then what it says is that as I grow in this, I can be reached out to. My philosophies can be changed. I don't care if it's good or bad. I'm not representing the people where I came from. I'm representing those PACs, super PACs, and whoever can walk in that front door as a lobbyist or whatever, as long as they got a badge on and they telling me, well, I need to quiet down in this area or keep my mouth shut over here, or I want this to, you need to calm down, you need to do this, and you need to do that. I'm leaning in when I say this. You owe them. You owe them. You owe them because you took money from them. I got 2 comments out there. I hope I made my points. I did this yesterday and I didn't do it today. So let me see what this one says. Live viewer comments show up on. Oh, that's something that I missed. But somebody says, "Thank you, very informative show." I don't try to mix words with nobody. I'm not out here trying to get you to vote for somebody. I'm just trying to make you understand that it's a political machine that's in place that we have no power over. And they asking us to choose one over the other one when neither one of them is better than the other one. They get on the right side, whichever one that their money is coming from, they get on the right side. And I pointed this out last night, and I never will let this go because I'm going here. They made this person out to be the greatest person on earth. But if you go back and listen to the stuff that he was saying before they made him out to be the person, I'm not excusing nobody killing anybody for any reason. But what you was talking about, Charlie Kirk, before you got killed, I can't endorse. I can't follow. I can't do any of that. And I want to establish this point with putting some context. Here's my context. Some people on the Democratic side, and I should call names, but I'm not going to do it right now. You can go back and what you call it. They look like me, but they compromised who they was. It wasn't even a bigger cause, but they compromised who they were. Oh yeah, when you call the name Charlie Kirk, people start running. They, oh no, I ain't losing my job. I ain't doing this. But that is where we at right now with what I've been talking about. That is where we at. However you take it. So you're right. I'm putting the information out there. If you want to take it, you can. If you don't want to take it, that's fine. But know that when you go up there to vote, that you voting for yourself, not because of anybody else. They want you to think that you voting because they had an influence in it, but no, vote for yourself. You got space between your 2 ears. Use that space to make an informative decision when you vote. That's what I'm asking you to do. That's all I'm asking you to do. Make an informative decision based on facts, not fiction. None of that. Tomorrow's show, I want to jump here. So let me do this first. Join Pastor Riggins tonight as he does his Bible study on Wednesdays. He said it last night, and I'm sorry that I'm not familiar. I wish I knew the address, but it's on Mesa Road, and he represents a couple of churches when he does his Bible study. Make sure that you're out there. His name is A.F. Riggins. I ain't going to attempt to pronounce his first name because I'll mess it up too. But I'm asking you right now just to understand. I got another comment. I'm bringing it up to the stage. You're so right. Wrong person won. I'll say it like this so everybody can understand. If they was running an equal race, without nobody's hands on the scale, without anything else being in place, I would say the best person won, not the wrong person. I just want it to be fair. Now I need to let you, I'm letting you know how it wasn't fair. So I agree with you and I disagree with you. Maybe the wrong person won, but it should have been fair in the effort in which they got there. It should have been fair in the effort in which they got there, not stacked in their favor. So with that being said, I did everything I wanted to do. I'm leaning forward. I did good today. I kept myself in frame on Instagram. So I hope that you enjoyed it. it was just I'm gonna do these videos because they're informative, not because I'm trying to be somebody that I'm not. Everybody else, I'm gonna have to say it because I try to put it here where you can understand. I'm not talking about no book deals. I'm not talking about what should have happened. And I'm putting the information out for you to gather your own thoughts and go from it. Because evidently, what we have going on in America today is the same thing that I'm talking about. They could be talking about. It's a lot of partisan issues out there that you can get in mainstream media or social media and talk about. But they refuse to do it. They're selling themselves. They're selling their books. They're selling other people's books. They doing all the rest of that. And at this point, I'm not calling no names. But if you listen to this podcast, you know who you are. Some of them are putting out false information and won't accept the truth, even when somebody points it out to them, because they don't want the narrative to make them look like they're crazy. I don't care. I'm here just to put the truth out. If you want to go out and research it for yourself, that's what we do. That's what me, Byron Glass, and Pastor Riggins do all the time. Thank you. I can't get enough of those. I really can't get enough of those. And I hope that I'm sharing something that makes it into the mainstream of media, and I don't have to take credit for it. I don't need their credit. I just need you to understand that the information is out there. If you want to use it, go to it. Stop talking about crazy stuff. Stop giving a person more power than what they're worth. Go out there and share the information that makes a difference in the community. A little girl that punched all of her tickets. A little girl that took all the right steps. Didn't go to jail. Not a convicted criminal. Can quote the law right off the top of her head. It takes a lot to get there. But you discredit her with what you did. You discredit her. So we out. I'm tired of acting like this. I told Pastor Riggins, tired acting like a Baptist minister. Let me get out of here. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you got the right. I hope I sent you on the right path. And before I go, I got to say this. Thank God. Because if it wouldn't be for God, I wouldn't be able to communicate any of this to you. Look forward to the show at 1:00 tomorrow. It's already in place. If you think today was a bombshell, tune in tomorrow. That's all I'm going to say. Tune in tomorrow because you need to. It's some things that we got to change in this country. And I guarantee it, it's important to what we're going to discuss. It's a bipartisan issue that can change, that we can change right now. We don't have to fight about it. Y'all take care. Bye-bye. I enjoyed it.